How many students, I'll ask a question, how many students did you have for your pilot?
So we had 100 finish the pilot.
Right.
Yeah, it was very good.
So did you have an idea that there would be so many students?
So we actually started with 200 students, but the pilot program was not part of their credit-bearing load. So this was a class that the students had to take in excess.
Right.
So we had a decent amount of attrition. Right.
Okay. Still great to have
Still
100 finish.
To finish with 100, we were very happy with.
So Catherine?
Hi Lorna, Brian, thank you very much for your presentation. I'm just wondering how you think this will impact long term on the suite of information literacy modules that the library offers. You know, is it a complementary to it and just kind of a new kind of dimension of it? Or do you think over time that activity will lessen in the library and more energies will be focused on supporting this kind of collaboration?
That's an interesting question, because Brian mentioned earlier on how the university were very keen to emphasise these are not study skills. And so we have our own, we've developed our own set of information skills tutorials that are study skills, and then we're developing these. And Brian and I both hold our hands up and say the content is very similar, but it's almost a political thing. So at the moment, I think until this curriculum is fully established and accepted, and it's not without controversy amongst some academics, because it is a big swing away from how things used to be, I think that we'll probably still have to have these two complementary resources.
Hi, that was really interesting. I was just wondering, when we talk about students coming from second level and with rote learning and that, the 100 students who completed it, did they find it challenging, do you think, grappling with kind of developing critical skills, or did they enjoy it?
I'll let you answer that.
So as the key here is we're going to do a longitudinal study of the students. Now, the initial cohort, unfortunately, we can't really, they were atypical. So their leaving cert, the 100 that finished, their leaving cert scores were above average for a Maynooth entry across the board, right? 60% or 65% were female as well. And I think the arts was overrepresented. Okay, so that's because this was 5 credits on top of their existing load. Next year, it'll be 15 credits, part of the students' regular course load. So we'll track a longitudinal study, and the idea is that if we take a biology student who comes in and doesn't do critical skills, we can compare that student with a biology student who did take critical skills, and we can control for their leaving cert. Leaving cert is a good predictor of student performance in math and hard sciences, not so much in other things. But the selling point to the academic departments is that the history student, the biology student, the student who does critical skills should be stronger in that discipline in their second year and third year. So we'll see.
Hi, Monica Crump, NUI Galway. I'm really interested in something you just said there, Brian, that indicated that it's not going to be compulsory for students. So you will have biology students who can choose. Will it be a choice module or something for students?
Yeah. So it is one of the subjects that the students can opt into, right? I think we'll have to see. This year, it was pretty clear, because it was an additional credit load, that we did get some exceptional students that stayed with it. So it'll be very interesting to see next year what type of students we get. Scheduling is an interesting challenge, but it is open to all students, and there are going to be enough classes that, in theory, anyone who wants to take it can take it. I think unfortunately, the science students are an interesting one, in that their schedule is the least sort of conducive to this, and so they were underrepresented in the pilot, and it'll be interesting to see if that changes next year.
We can take maybe one more question if there.
About students coming from different backgrounds, could you comment at all about the kind of value of the interdisciplinarity of having students, a history student sitting beside a biology student, and where you might see that might go? Because there's some very interesting literature around that, of bringing students together from different backgrounds?
This is one of the key advantages, I think, to the program, and pedagogically we can do two things with it. Okay, so the first is that we can compare how all of the disciplines share some fundamentals. So I mentioned epistemology earlier, so we can teach people that, you know, you're working with evidence, understand some basic principles, whether you're a biologist or historian, about working with evidence. The second thing that we can do is some very interesting collaborative group projects. So, for example, the students do a white paper. This term it was on homelessness. So they each assumed the subject matter role. So the psychology student was a subject matter expert on psychology of homelessness and the consequences, the effects of homelessness. We had a sociology student who then gave the causes of homelessness. We had an economics student who tried to present a market-based solution to homelessness. And then we had an English student who provided narratives of homelessness, and they all basically came together to produce a single large paper based on that. So they got to see how the other disciplines work, and then the other thing I said is that they sort of see that there are some fundamental principles underlying all of these disciplines.
So we could go on, obviously. So if there are other questions during lunch and coffee, Lorna and Brian, I'm sure will be pleased to answer your questions, as will Siobhan. And just one more round of applause for Plenary 1.